Merry Christmas, family and friends. Today I'm going to show you how to make your own wooden Christmas trees. I got this idea, of course, off Pinterest. I do love me some Pinterest. And so I really asked sweetly if my husband would make these for me, and he said yes. We had some cedar planks left over from a fence project. So he used this Pinterest image, and I'll leave a link in the description below for all the sizes that he needed. And then he cut one out, measuring and getting it to graduate down, and then he drew a center line down each board, and that's going to be important later. But this was his very first one that he did, and then of course we can use this one as the pattern for the second one. Again, this is cedar fencing that we used, some leftovers. So he drew out for the second one, and we're going to show you how easy it was for him to make those. He's got his board there, and now he's just taking the top and the second row and just drawing it on the board. Then he's using his miter saw to cut these into sections. So it didn't take long at all. The first one took the longest because he had to measure everything exactly to make sure the tree would look like a Christmas tree. So he's just using his saw to get the basic cut, and then he used a little hand saw to finish it off. But we really had a good time. We spent the day after Thanksgiving, Black Friday, out in his shop working on these for the front porch. I'm still decorating my porch. It's kind of a work in progress. But anyway, he's just finishing now this cut. His saw didn't go all the way to the end, so he's just using a little hand saw to finish it off. But that's basically how easy it is to do the second tree. Now the first one did take a little bit longer. He did that before I could start filming, but I just wanted you to get a general idea of what he's doing to cut all these sections. Now in the picture, they kind of staggered or left about 2 inches between each tree part, but we decided that we'd like it to butt together. So after he got all of these pieces cut out, we laid everything out, and we looked at it both ways, but we kind of really both liked for the tree boards to touch each other. Okay, and there's the finished product. We've cut a 1x2 that we're going to be nailing all of these tree sections to. And first, we've got to make sure everything looks good. I left about a foot at the bottom, and he's going to be making a stand for this tree. But basically, you put on some wood glue. This is the top of the tree. And this is why it's so important to have that center line drawn on all your pieces, because we want to match the center line and make all of our tree parts even, going all the way down the pole. So just using a nail gun, or you could use, if you don't have a nail gun, you could just use a screwdriver, electric screwdriver, and then we just match up that center line with each plank. He always added a bead of wood glue going down the 1x2 and on the back of the wood. And he did this on both of the trees, matching the center line and then nailing all the way down. And this is how it looks. He's down to the very last board. He just wants to make sure everything is pretty equal looking. And then he's going to staple it in place. Now I did not get to video him making the base, but it was a pretty easy process, and the picture shows you what it looks like. Again, we just use scrap wood, and there it is. Mr. Sweetness has made me 2 Christmas trees, and they turned out great. And then this morning when I got up, he had them in the dining room, the table covered with plastic, ready for me to paint. And I'm using the Krylon chalky paint in a nice kind of a olive green. I love this paint. It works great. And I really only needed to put 2 coats on it, which was really good. And now the base I did in a brown and the tree trunk in a brown. So after I kind of dusted everything off and got all the sawdust off, I started painting it green. And it did take 2 coats on both sides of the tree. Make sure I got underneath the edges of the wood. So I spent all morning getting those painted, letting them dry, get a second coat on, and I just think they turned out so neat, just exactly like what I wanted. Now, they looked a little too green for me. I know that sounds crazy, but I didn't want to paint any white snow on them, so I just took some antiquing wax, like a stain, just lightly dipped a rag in it, coated it, and then go back and wipe it off. And this just really added some depth to it. It gets in those wood grain cracks, and it just really made all the difference. I liked it so much better. So again, I just kind of lightly dab it in different spots, not really coating the whole plank, and then I just take the rag and just wipe it down. And this really made it look old and just more farmhousey. Now you could do these in white, you can do them in any color, you can kind of sand off the edges a little bit, make them rough, you could paint them gray and then go back and like add snow. But for my porch, I have a white house and the white just kind of would not show up as well, so I went ahead and painted these green. And I'm doing the same antiquing technique to the other tree, and again, I like it so much better. So easy to do, and I think they turned out great. The wooden brown bases at the bottom look great, and so now it's time to move them on outside. So I already have my star up and my little bench, and I've got my Christmas throw and pillow on it. So now I'm just going to set these trees in place, and I'm really excited with how they look. Now after looking at it, I'm thinking I really need just some small triangle trees to go at the base. I may can talk Mr. Sweetness into doing that a little bit later. I did have 2 wooden stars in my craft stash, so I painted those a pewter gray, and then I just hot glued them on. I'm going to have hubby go back and nail those in, but for now I've hot glued them on and then just put a clamp on them until they were completely dry. But I like the pewter gray. It kind of goes with the sun and the other things I have going on the porch. And then here is the finished product. I think it looks great with my star. I've got a new firewood ring down there. I just got that put together and loaded up my firewood and got the wreaths on the doors. We've got to hang some lights and kind of finish up a few things and then get our spotlight on. But boy, did those trees make a big difference. I just love them. So I hope you like this idea and give it a try. I'll leave that Pinterest link below where you can find those measurements. So thank you so much for watching. Welcome to all my new subscribers. I got so many right after Thanksgiving. So thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoy this channel. And as always, have a very blessed day, my friends.